the idea. How is it see, there's a mystery if you take into consideration the power of love, the fact that we are expanded parts and parcels of the pleasure comes with Krishnas. What is it that gives pleasure to Krishna? What is it about the pleasure potency that gives pleasure to Krishna? What is pleasure? What is the intrinsic nature of the thing which makes Krishna experience what he would perceive to be as pleasure? So the answer is prema rasa. So it's like there's no meaning of love unless there isn't someone to be loved. So what gives Krishna pleasure is you can say there's two things which would give Krishna pleasure concerning love. But primarily what is experienceable by Krishna directly in the matter of love is the love that he shares with others. It's just like if you have, like when we were kids, we had some good marijuana or something, and we want to share it with somebody else. You have to drink that. So it's to feel good, about life or something. we had the best beat on the block or something, like that. So that, but if there was nobody sharing, that's practically the same argument that Arjuna gives, that what's the use of my winning the battle if everyone that I had to share it with...
Prabhupada said that in the tape.
Yes, is dead. So there ain't nobody to share it with, and what's the use of living? Big deal. I've got a great big kingdom, no subjects. No one to show everybody how nice a kingdom is. So part of what Krishna needs to be happy, happy living, naturally, be happy as, the Hakanama, self-satisfied, without any expanded forms of yourself to love, be developed by. Everyone likes to be loved, and everyone likes to know. If there's nobody to love, how can we really say that there's that much happiness, at least comparatively speaking, how can we say that there's that much happiness simply in loving yourself? Yet, although he expands so that he can have the sense of loving others, in reality it's loving none other than himself. So someone could argue that, well, how has he actually accomplished more? Because that Krishna includes everything within and without himself. So just that someone is apparently differentiated from himself, who happens to be non-different from himself, just the same soul himself, having, an expanded form of himself. He's born of the Sarup. Sarup Shakti means an expanded form of the very same Shakti which comprises his own body. So, how has he actually accomplished anything? By expanding his Sarup Shakti, to appear to be others other than himself to reciprocate love with, so that he doesn't have to be simply absorbed in the self-loving sense of his existence. He actually loves someone else, So the thing that pleases him the most, obviously, is that when someone else conquers him, when someone else outloves him, outloves his ability to love them. Does that make sense? Right? Is that a philosophy?
But Krishna has more possibility to love us more than we can even conceive of.
No, try to understand. You don't understand. That's the problem. It's fine. How the problem is surrender.
So a little bit more.
Understand? Krishna loves to be conquered by love of others. So when Krishna is associating, because Krishna's unlimited. He can compete with Radharani or any other unlimited counterparts of himself. And certainly it's a wonderful thing that the unlimited counterpart aspect of his very self is able to conquer another unlimited aspect of himself. Mm-hmm. But there's something beyond that, which even though, due to, you can say, that the infinitesimal nature or the incompleteness of the jiva, we can say, on one hand, that the jiva can hardly hope to compete with Krishna in the same way that the unlimited counterpart aspect of himself, as Radha or Yasoda or any other unlimited counterpart aspects of manifestations of his Swarup Shakti could do, because of their unlimitedness. Still, there's a great wonder which is realized in Krishna in being conquered, that how is it possible, how does it happen that the unlimited can become conquered by the love of the limited? So it is not that the unlimited cannot be conquered by the love of the limited. So there's let's say, an inestimable bliss in Krishna when he realizes the sweetness of his unlimitedness being conquered by the infinitesimal. After all, you say that he's unlimited, therefore he can unlimitedly love. But because we are limited, he can hardly repose very much love in us.
He can flood to the max.
But he can contain more. He can. In other words, if he's associating with Radharani, then there's need for struggle, for battle, for all these things, which satisfies another need in him for loving reciprocation. But the jivas are required to extend the limits of that satisfaction. And that if Radharani conquers Krishna, then Krishna doesn't experience what it is. He doesn't experience what it is to be conquered by the limited, because it's the unlimited that's conquering. He only experiences what it is to be conquered by the limited when he is conquered by the love of the jiva. Although it may appear that the jiva has very little to offer, but when the jiva is offering his everything, he's offering his fullness, he's offering it complete, and Krishna's not offering his complete. So it's very easy for the jiva's love, in that sense, to conquer Krishna's, although it can be said that his incompleteness is more powerful than the completeness of the jiva. On one level, it may be thought like that, but Krishna doesn't see like that. How is it that even though, you can say, even though there's no cause for there to be a necessity of me to, let's say, fulfill, anything in him by relating with the jivas, because everything is fulfilled by his relating with his unlimited counterpart, Swarup Shakti, manifestations, his whole entourage. Everything is fulfilled. Practically speaking, we have hardly any expectation of getting any attention from Krishna. Just like the Manjaris, maidservants, they serve selflessly without any expectation of getting any attention from Krishna. But they're putting their whole heart into it. And the fact that they're putting their whole heart into it, in spite of the fact that they have very little hope or any expectation to merit gaining the attention of Krishna, that fact that they're offering their everything in Krishna against all odds in of itself conquers Krishna's heart, even though there's no competition. It's kind of like, the example is given this one little small red flower here in Vrindavan. It has 4 petals that extend from the little point. The petals are shaped kind of like this. They're about that small. And there's 4 of them, kind of like this. It's smaller, but it's not a square flower. It's got 4 little distinct petals and a little kind of small tube. And it's hard, kind of slightly hard flower, not soft flower. It's a little soft, but not this firm, yes. So this flower doesn't have any smell. So, in Shastra says that one shouldn't offer useless flowers to Krishna. Mm-hmm. So Krishna was wandering through the forest with Radharani and the Sakhis. And this flower, because Krishna was touching the leaves of the trees and the flowers and the fruits and admiring and all these things and smelling the flowers and all these things. So one Sakhi heard this one flower was bitterly crying and crying and crying. And she pointed out to Krishna that why this flower is crying. So as they came closer to the flower, they heard the flower crying, "Oh, why did I have to be a useless flower? I didn't want to be a useless flower, but somehow or other by the will of Providence I became a useless flower. I didn't want to be a useless flower. Now Krishna will never even, you'll never." This little flower was crying and crying and crying. She didn't want to. Why did I have to be useless? Why can't I answer my smell? Answer the Krishna will pick me and smell me and fulfill the purpose of my existence as a flower. But but I'm useless. So it's a hopeless case with no hope for me. Here I am. I made it all the way to Vrindavan. I made it all the way to the Brajalila of Krishna. Even during in Krishna's manifest pastimes, I got all the way here. But why did I have to be useless? So then she said, anyway, that's Krishna and Nima coming closer. She's saying, anyway, I guess, if, being so useless as I am, there's no use in me living any longer. So let me just give up my life being trampled by the feet of Krishna. So she threw herself off the bush, just as Krishna was coming. But Krishna heard her saying like that. And so Krishna saw her, as she's saying like that, anyway, let me just give up my life. By being trampled under the feet of Krishna. So she threw herself off the bush, and she was just like, here's Krishna's foot, and she threw herself down like that, and Krishna had to stop, in order to keep from trampling her. And like he was just ready to put her foot down, he had to kind of like retract his step. And then he after hearing her and appreciating the intensity of her heart's desires to serve Krishna, in spite of her uselessness, he became conquered by the intensity of her expression of her desire in crying for Krishna. And so he reached down and picked up the flower and placed her on the top of his crown, and in this way she became the crest ornament of Krishna. He placed her in the highest position, in spite of the fact of her being a useless flower. No good smell, nothing really nice. She's a little nice to look at, but very small, basically. So it's kind of like that. We do have purposefulness. Our purpose is to give Krishna a bliss that he can't experience otherwise. To be conquered, the bliss of being conquered by the infinitesimal. When the unlimited becomes conquered by the limited. When the infinite becomes conquered by the infinitesimal. When the infinite, who is who is the embodiment of all prema, becomes conquered by even the little useless prema that we can muster up as infinitesimal, eternally separated parts and parcels of Krishna. Yeah. He agrees to become conquered by that, by the fullness of the intensity and fullness of our love for him, in spite of our, let's say, hopelessness in the matter of expecting any attention from his mind. That conquers Krishna's mind in such a way that it is not conquered by any other manifestations of his self-seen. So he wants that also. That's part and parcel of the happiness of exchanging loving affairs. If that's not there, then his exchange of loving affairs is not complete. So that is required for its completeness.
He looked in the room and he saw the people.
So at least that may be expanded on perhaps in various ways if one thinks deeply about it. In terms of rasa tattva, etc. Can be extended. Okay. But at least that's the basic gist, which should suffice to answer the question amply.
I feel.
A little. What is the time? Sorry,
9:40.
No, it's 9
o'clock.
9:04.
This is like a trailer. Just because I'm eating tomorrow, it's my last chance.
So next time.
Yeah.
The one for you to come again. Okay. What am I supposed to say? Nitai is unbelievably beautiful. Hino Nitai Dili Radha Krishna Bhakti. There's a very deep tattva behind this, which I don't know if we're going to allow me to discuss. If I do discuss it, I will be wasn't too subjective.
Oh, he can. It's not there. It's there. No.
If he doesn't object, then you can still do it.
No,
He's not displeased.
And then if he says something, then we'll understand that he doesn't want to
speak now, forever hold his peace.
They will not speak, but you will throw his tail on you.
Who is Nitai? Please notice that Nitai is more merciful than Gaur. And there's a reason for that.
According to Prabhupada, there was no more missions personality as Gaur.
But Nitai is more merciful.
Yes, we know from Prabhupada he is more merciful.
So, shall we put some more wood in? Okay, so anyway, the thing is that this Radha Krishna Paite night, we understand that Nitai, Vrindavan Sachi Sutavolo say, Balaram Hoyam Nitai. However, everyone knows that that Sachisutta, although he is Krishna, but he is not only Krishna, right? So when it says Prajanananjay, Sachisutta, we understand that is a very simplified explanation in order to at least bring people into the ballpark, so to speak. So we can begin to, discuss something else, which is more esoteric about Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya is directly. Yeah, I just wanted to let them eat a little bit.
Oh, okay.
Lord Chaitanya is directly the son of Nanda. He is none other. He is not an incarnation of Nityananda Krishna. He is Nityananda Krishna. But there's something more than just the Nityananda Krishna tattva in Lord Chaitanya. Primarily, we understand that he has accepted the vow and the duty or the effulgence, luster of Srimati Radharani. That's why it's called as Gora. That's why it has the Gora, we'll say, Varna. Krishna Varna, Krishna Krishna. So Krishna Varna refers to the color of Krishna, or it also refers to the order of Krishna, category. So this is Lord Chaitanya is Krishna, but it's Krishna. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna who desires to achieve three purposes, internal purposes, in the matter of relishing himself from the standpoint of Srimati Radharani. So, why is it necessary that Krishna is unlimited? Why he cannot, from the standpoint of Purush, simply automatically understand experiences in his Prakriti Swarup as Srimati Radharani? So, his requirement, because he's as male as Purush, you would say, as the enjoyer, he's not in the position of being enjoyed, really. So he has to take that position in order to actually appreciate. That's why Mahaprabhu has appeared, because Krishna told to the gopis that I cannot repay your debt, even in the lifetime of Lord Brahma or the demigods. I cannot repay your debt. But Radharani and the gopis told him, you cheater, number one. You think that, you say like that just because you want to cheat us. But we know that there is a way that you can repay your debt. Now, how is it that you can repay the debt? How is it possible? And that is that you put yourself into our shoes and see how it feels to be left behind for 100 years. Experience the excruciating agony of the pains of feelings of separation, which is tantamount to transcendental bliss. So, because the experiences of the feelings of separation in Krishna, in Radha, in her girlfriend, far surpassed whatever experiences of feelings of separation that Krishna had for the gopis in that separation. Radharani's experiences of happiness in her meeting with Krishna is 10 million times the happiness that Krishna experiences in his meeting with her, from the standpoint of a servant. Similarly, Radharani's experience of the transcendental, the so-called suffering of feelings of separation, the bliss of feelings of separation from Krishna, are 10 million times the magnitude of Krishna's experience. So, Radharani wanted to, when there's a repaying of debts, in the transcendental mathematics, it's 1 plus 1 equals 1, and 1 minus 1, equals actually more than 1. If you give something, you're not the loser, but rather you gain. So Radharani, her proposition that Krishna repay his debt by putting yourself into our shoes and seeing how it feels wasn't a vindictive, negative type of proposition that, that, hey, you made us suffer, unlimitedly by you're going with the Karur to Mathura and then onward to Dwarka and not coming back for 100 years. So you put yourself into our shoes and see how it feels. So there, yeah. It wasn't exactly like that, but rather she wanted him to experience the intensity of the ecstasy of remembrance of him, in the feelings of separation, in a way that she and the girlfriends and other husbands of Raja, experienced, which was all a matter of intensified transcendental bliss. So she wanted to share that experience. Simultaneously, he wanted to experience, the degrees of love that Radharani had said, and to see what it is that's in him that's so enchanting to Radha, why she was so enchanting, mind response to understand. So in this way, Radharani induced Lord Chaitanya, and what meaning also, in another way, served to induce Krishna to accept the Gaursari in order to gain experiences which go beyond his unlimited capacity to experience from the standpoint of Krishna. So, with that in mind, we understand Nityananda-tattva Jai Radha Sati Sati. Radha Vrindavan Jai Sati Sati. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
You understand? You get an idea?
Yeah.
So Radha Vrindavan Krishna, Radha Krishna Jai Sati Sati. You understand? So Sati Sutta is not just Krishna, but he is Radha Krishna. Mahaprabhu Sri Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Navayam. So, in the same way, Balaram Hoilo Nitai. So, just like Brajendananda and Krishna Sati Sutta Hoilo say, Balaram Hoilo Nitai. Sati Sutta includes something more than Brajendananda-tattva. So, similarly, Nitai includes something more than Baladev-tattva. Although in that statement, Baladev Hoilo Nitai, we can conclude that Nitai is Baladev. Just like we can conclude that Sati Sutta is Krishna. Vrindavan Krishna means the Krishna of the realm of Vraja. For the original Swayam Rup Krishna. Although other subordinate aspects of Vishnu Tattva are included within Lord Chaitanya. So, but primarily, Brajendananda and Krishna and Kirtida Putri, Ladini Shakti, Radha are manifest in the one Swarup of Lord Brahma. So similarly, Balaram has being, as we previously discussed, I don't know if you were in the room, we were previously discussing the principle of Balaram, Bala Rama. Bala meaning the existential Shakti, Sat, or it can be called as Sambit Shakti, different Sandini Shakti.
That's existential.
Yes. So Bala refers to that. Nitya means eternity or continuous. That which, manifests continuity of existence. In terms of the spiritual world and all these things. They're expanded from that Sat potency, Bala. And Rama means Ramanti, or pleasure. So Balaram is described in one scripture by one of our acharyas as the masculine form of Radha. Radha serves Krishna in the Madhurya rasa. And she's, you can say, the original source of all Shaktis, etc. Yet still, she wants to fulfill other needs in her Prananath Krishna, to share varieties of love with other aspects of herself. So she manifests as Yasoda, she manifests as Nandababa, she manifests as Sugam, Subal, Arjun, Sharad Moyo, and Ujjvala, Madhurya. Both directly and indirectly, they are manifestations of Srimati Radharani. Radharani directly expands her Gopaswarup as Subal, and Lalita Devi expands her Sakaswarup as Madhumangala, and Vishaka Devi expands her Sakaswarup as Ujjvala, like that. So therefore I say directly and indirectly, she expands as they're expansions of those who are non-different from her very self, who is non-different from Krishna's very self. That's why they're called Swarup. They're expansions of his own form. Radharani is the expansion of Krishna's form. And Lalita Vishaka is expansions of Radharani's form, who is non-different from Krishna. So we were saying one soul dancing in a myriad of forms, playing with himself. It's described as playing with the reflection of himself in the mirror, but actually Radha's soul and Krishna's soul are non-different. One soul in two different forms. So Radha is the body of Radha is simply the other body of Krishna, but the soul is one. That's the action of Yogamaya, please. Yogamaya is another expansion of Radharani. It's all set up for Krishna's pleasure, designed by Radharani. And Radharani herself submits to the influence of her own expanded potency as Yogamaya, just as Krishna submits himself for the purpose of enhancing the leelas, for the purpose of enhancing the pleasure, pastimes, which have no other cause other than pleasure itself. So, in any case, Rama is the source of all transcendental pleasure pastimes. Rama refers to Krishna, Rama refers to Radha, Rama also refers to Balaram. Radha is included within Krishna, so therefore it is possible for Rama to manifest from Krishna. Without Rama being included within Krishna, there's no question of Rama manifesting or expanding from Krishna. So Rama expands in the form of Radha, and then Radha also wants to serve Krishna in Vatsalyabhav, in Sakyabhav, in Dasyabhav, and in Shankabhav. So she expands another form, masculine form, as Baladev. So this Baladev, although it is not only that she's expanding as Baladev, but Krishna is also expanding. If Baladev is considered as the first expansion of Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
But simultaneously, he's the masculine expansion of Radha. So Baladev is the expansion of Radha Krishna. So Radha Krishna in the form of Baladev, because he is imbued with this Ladini Shakti, Rama. He is the combination of the Sandini Shakti and Ladini Shakti. As the expansion of Krishna, he manifests as Sandini Shakti. And as the expansion of Radha, he manifests as Ladini Shakti. So the combination of Bala and Rama come into the principle, or emerge in the principle of existential bliss, which is expressed through service to Krishna in the Shantaras, in the Dasyaras, in the Sakyaras, and in the Vatsalyaras. So Baladev, he, so to speak, rules over Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, and Vatsalyaras. He serves Krishna, and he manifests. When we say that Radharani expands as Subal, Subal is also an expansion of Baladev. So simultaneously, both, just like you can understand, it's a little complicated, but it's not that difficult to understand in terms of, let's say, logistics at least. How it's happening is inconceivable. But the logistics we can understand to a certain extent. Just like with every expansion of Vishnu Tattva, there is an expansion of Shakti Tattva. So Krishna's counterpart, manifestation of Shakti Tattva, is Radha. In Dwarka, Krishna has expanded as Vasudeva Krishna. Simultaneously, Radha has expanded as Satyabhama. In the Braja, Radha has expanded as Chandravali. And in Dwarka, Chandravali has expanded as Rukmini. So, in this way, Ramchandra, Dasarathi Ramchandra, he has expanded from the Baladev Sarup, and the subordinate Sita Devi, their expansions all the Das Avataram are expanded through the agency of Baladev. They're one expansion after another, Narayan, Vishnu, the Purusha avatars, etc. They're expansions of Baladev, who's expansion of Krishna. So, simultaneously one and different. Narayan simultaneously one and different from Krishna. Balaram is simultaneously one and different from Krishna. And Revati is simultaneously one and different from Radharani. Yet their expansions simultaneously, one is expanded from, let's say, Sita is expanded from Ramchandra. But we can say, well, wait a minute, I thought that they were all expansions of Radharani. What's going on here? Can you kindly explain yourself? In such a way that, it makes a little sense. So you can, but it doesn't take too much brain to understand it's possible, for more than one thing to expand into one thing. Mm-hmm. Just like even in Gaur Leela, it goes the other way, practically. Within the body of Ramananda Roy, you will see that there's Lalita Shakti, Lalita Tattva is there, Vishaka Tattva is there, Arjuna Tattva is there, Arjuna Gopi Tattva is there. They're all merging on one form, one Sarup. Various tattvas are merging into comprise the one Sarup, and they're all present simultaneously. And yet they are expansions of, how are we going to figure it out? It's not our business really to figure it all out. Our biggest business is just to appreciate and develop a service attitude, which should culminate in love for somebody up there.
United.
A servant of the servant of the servants. So like that, Balaram he wants to serve Krishna in all 5 rasas. Balaram is Adi Guru. You must have heard. Balaram's called this Adi Guru, the original spiritual master. Balaram. Why? Because he's the supreme personality of servitor guide. He's what is called as Sevaka Bhagavan. Krishna is Savya Bhagavan, who is served, and Baladev is Sevaka Bhagavan. So, as the original, you could say, servant, let me say original maidservant.
You see right there, you see the relationship to Madhurya.
Yeah, Balaram is the original servant. He wants to give pleasure to Krishna in all 5 rasas. But carefully note that he wants to give pleasure to Krishna by providing a bed for Krishna to lay on. So he manifests by his inconceivable potencies. He manifests a Sarup which is befitting the need of the hour. So he becomes the bed of Krishna in the form of the Ananta serpent, in the form of the beautiful bedstead, in the form of, also he becomes the pillow, he becomes the umbrella, he becomes, in 10 different ways he serves Krishna. He may be able to, things like the stick, maybe the buffalo horn, shoes, the dress, the singhasan, etc. So, Brahman thread, yes, it is. So, in this way, Krishna Baladev serves Krishna. So you could say, well, wait a minute, that doesn't look like Baladev, that looks like a pillow. So, but no, we understand that it is a manifestation of the self-same personality, Baladev, who has accepted that Sarup via media, the manifestation of Sarup Shakti. After all, his body is comprised of Shakti, just like Krishna's body is comprised of Shakti. Sat Shakti, Chit Shakti, Ananda Shakti comprises Krishna's body. And that Vibhu, who's let's say, the internal self of Krishna, is the possessor of his body, which is identical with himself, intrinsically, as opposed to the material perception, soul and body. So similarly, Balaram, he has various forms. So in the Shantaras, Balaram expands himself in varieties of forms to suit the needs, on various occasions. So in his Baladev Sarup, as a cowherd boy, brother of Krishna, sometimes he serves Krishna in Dasyaras. He likes to sometimes take the position as the servant of his brother and relish that advantage. And sometimes he serves Krishna in Sakyaras, being the friend, fighting his demons. And sometimes, due to the fact that he just so happens to be the older brother, he also has the prerogative to serve Krishna in the Vatsalya. So in this way, he fulfills his desire to serve Krishna in Shantaras, in Dasyaras, in Sakyaras, and in Vatsalyaras. And as such, he has the right to act as guru in the matter of distribution of devotional service to Krishna in in Shantaras, Dasya, Sakya, and Vatsalya as Adi Guru. However, as it's not possible really for him to serve as the Singhasan in the Baladev Sarup, so therefore he has to adopt another shape which is appropriate to the need. So similarly, it is not possible to express the service attitude in the Madhurya Ras in the masculine Sarup as Baladev. So, just as he expands in the Shantaras in various forms, so similarly, to serve Krishna in the Madhurya Ras, he expands his Madhurya Sarup, which is a female Sarup, but it's still Balaram. But it's Balaram in his Madhurya Sarup, her Madhurya Sarup, which you could say, in certain respects, is the highest aspect of Balaram. Because the Madhurya Ras that Madhurya Sarup is the Sarup which totally subdues and conquers Krishna in a way that Balaram himself can't even conquer Krishna.
What does Balaram become?
As Balaram, he's not able to do it. Just like Radharani conquers Krishna, so similarly, Balaram's Madhurya Sarup outdoes Balaram himself in the matter of service to Radha and Krishna. Now, one thing which can be brought into the picture is that Balaram, being the older brother of Krishna, has very little opportunities to render any service to Srimati Radharani. So, but still, just as all the Brajbasis, Balaram is also a Brajbasi. All the Brajbasis are totally in love with Srimati Radharani. Balaram is also in love with Srimati Radharani. Just as Mother Yashoda is also in love with Srimati Radharani. From different perspectives, different vantage point, they love Srimati Radharani and want to do service to Srimati Radharani. But what chance is there for Balaram? So there's some anxiety and pain in his heart, some inability in the heart of Balaram, something left undone. After all, what's the use of being Adi if you can't serve Vishnu? So he expands his Madhurya Sarup and becomes the younger sister of Srimati Radharani, Srimati Anandamaya, in order to fulfill his desire simultaneously serve Krishna in the Madhurya Ras and to have the maid service of Srimati Radharani as well as you. So she becomes Das Anudas. He becomes Dasi Anudasi. Like that. Because there's something more relishable about being Dasi Anudasi than just being a Dasa. So I think we've probably had that philosophy pumped in the brain considerably as we find this. So Balaram conquers Krishna and gains the Prem Sevas of Srimati Radharani's lotus feet in the form of his Madhurya expansion as the younger sister of Radharani, Srimati Nityananda-tattva. However, in spite of the fact that he has expanded that swarup for the purposes of facilitating the fulfillment of his desire to gain access to those services of Radha and Krishna, still, in his Baladev Sarup, there's something left unfulfilled in the matter of the fulfillment of the desire to experience directly. You can understand Balaram, just like Krishna, he expands his Sarup as Radha for the purpose of fulfilling some desires of his own. Still, he cannot relish from that vantage. So in the same way, Balaram, although he expands that form of himself, herself, still as Balaram, he cannot gain access or entrance into the experience of what it's actually like to be in that position. Because it's her that's in that position, not me.
Are there total parallels all around Vrindavan? Is it two personalities in Vrindavan?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Just like there's two personalities, Radha and Krishna.
Yes.
So, the subordinate feature of an Anangamanjari, expanded form of an Anangamanjari, is Revati. Anangamanjari is the supreme Sarup Shakti manifestation of Baladev. Why? Because that is Baladev Sarup Shakti expansion for the purpose of service to the Swayamrup Krishna. So it must be concluded that expansion of Baladev Sarup Shakti is more superior, or let's say more
Superior.
Yeah, superior than that expansion of Baladev Sarup Shakti, which is meant for the service of himself, who is a subordinate expanded form of Krishna. So therefore, the other expanded forms of Sarup Shakti, such as Baruni and Revati, they are expanded from Anangamanjari, who is the supreme, the Adya Shakti of Baladev. So, so here we're coming to the crux of the matter, is that just as Krishna desired to experience the bhavas of Radha, so similarly, Baladev desiring to experience the bhavas of his supermost Madhurya Sarup Shakti, manifest as Nitya-Ananda, combined with Anangamanjari Tattva, in order to access the experience of her bhavas at the feet of Radha and Krishna in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
So Nityananda is Nandamaji Balaram combined?
Combined.
In Radharani also.
So,
Nityananda, Anangamanjari is the veritable other form of Radharani. She's expanded, she's simultaneously expanded from Radha and Balaram.
mm.
In the same way that I gave example of Rai to bring you to this understanding that Anangamanjari is non-different from Radharani. And at the same time, she's expanded from Balaram for the purpose of service to the feet of Radharani.
The expression is both horizontally vertical.
So, dasi anudasi. Dasi anudasi means that Radharani experiences ineffable bliss by service to Krishna. But who serves her experience more bliss than Radharani experiences. So in that sense, it can be said that the servants of Radharani, they are,
Why is the experience more? Because of the selflessness, why the experience more bliss?
It's explained that due to their ability to see or arrange for the transcendental meeting of Radha and Krishna, they derive a happiness which is beyond the happiness of Radharani's pleasure. Radharani also derives 10 million times the happiness of her own pleasure of meeting Krishna. The Sakis and Manjaris also derive 10 million times the happiness of of Radharani's, of their own meeting with Krishna, and also of Radharani's meeting with Krishna, by making arrangements for Radharani to meet with Krishna. So similarly, Radharani experiences 10 million times her own happiness by making arrangements for others to meet with Krishna. So she also has access to 10 million times happiness, similar to the 10 million times the happiness on the basis of expanded expression of compassion. Because Radharani is described by Rupa Goswami as the personification of the compassionate nature of Krishna. She is the Karuna Shakti of Krishna. So as the compassionate nature, I guess we can open this book. You have to get up and do it right. Get up, yes. I have to do it. That's a sign to put it back. Or another answer could be, why don't you go there and find out? So, but in any case, where were we?
You're getting to
Compassionate.
Compassionate. The expanded form of compassion. The personification of the compassionate nature of Krishna is Radha. So Radha expands that compassion in the form of all the residents of Braja. The first compassion is the compassion upon Krishna. Charity begins at home. So sometimes Krishna cries on the feet of Srimati Radharani, begging her to be compassionate to him by allowing him to do whatever is necessary to relieve him of his distress. Because he is agitated by the arrows of Cupid, he's pained in the heart due to, feelings of separation from Srimati Radharani. So please be compassionate and mitigate that distress by agreeing to, sport in the affairs of Cupid with him, to make his youth successful. Otherwise, Muslims can be an eternal, handsome, gallant lad that he is. So like that. So as Dasi and Udasi, you can say that the veritable other form of Radha, yet as the servant of Radha, maidservant of Radha, she is dear as life. Radha considers Anandamajari, her younger sister, to be more dear than her own life. She, just like you say, Lord Chaitanya is Gadadhar Pran, or Nityananda-tattva, like that. So similarly, Anandamajari is called Radhika Pran. She is equal, Radhika Prana Sama. Kaniyasin, whose younger sister, she is equal to the very life breath of Srimati Radharani. She revered to Radharani as her own mother. So from that position, as the maidservant of Srimati Radharani, as the younger sister who has, you could say, unequaled access to the people of Srimati Radharani, Anandamajari, she acts as Adishuru in the Madhurya. Where are you going, Gopal? Don't get scared. Well, you can make space. There's plenty of space.
Come on in.
Okay, go finish your room. So, Anandamajari is Baladev, who acts as Adi Guru in the Madhurya Rasa. Guru is the liaison between the jivas and the service of Radha and Krishna. Of course, there may be many expanded points of view also. But generally, you hear that Guru is either the expanded form of Nitai, Nityananda, or the representative of the mercy of Radha. So, the mercy of Radha appears in the form of the servants of Radha. Yet, the servants of Radha are more merciful, specifically referring to Anandamajari's position as Adi Guru in Madhurya Rasa, who acts as the liaison between the jivas and the service of Radha and Krishna. Heno Nitai Dine by Radha Krishna Paite Nai. Because
Was it?
Ananga Manjari is manifest, fully manifest within the form of Nityananda. So he is Adi Guru. Nityananda is more than Balaram. Balaram is Adi Guru in Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, and Vatsalya. But Nityananda is Adi Guru in Shanta, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. In Chaitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur explains that it's only by the special mercy of Lord Nityananda upon the fallen conditioned souls of this age of Kali that Radha Dasyams, for the maid service to the feet of Srimati Radharani, as following in the footsteps of the Manjaris like Rupa Manjari, etc., that this Radha Dasyam has been broadcast and spread all over the world, only because of Nityananda. And what within Nityananda gives him the power to do that is Ananga Manjari. You can't give something that you don't have. So the other form of Nityananda is Janava Mata. Vasudha and Janava. Vasudha is the other given wife of Lord Nityananda. He had two wives. So Lord Nityananda, having two wives, he begot in Vasudha, Virchandra, and Ganga Devi. Virchandra's son, Ganga Devi's daughter, of Vasudha Mata, son of Lord Nityananda. And one time, Virchandra, he approached Advaitacharya requesting dikshas from Advaitacharya. But Advaitacharya told him, don't be puffed up. You humble yourself at the feet of Janava, and you take diksha from Janava. At that time, Janava manifests a six-armed form to prove that she was none different from Lord Nityananda, who was the father of Virchandra. At that point, Virchandra became convinced, overwhelmed with ecstatic emotions, and accepted Janava as his diksha. And also Janava initiated Ramchandra Goswami, who was a adopted son of Janava. And she also initiated Narayani and Ganga Devi. And others also subsequently got initiated. So anyway, Virchandra had many disciples, one of whom is name is, what was his name? Right? Harigopal. Harigopal was one of the disciples of Virchandra. Harigopal Mishra, and he had a disciple named Pranopriya Mishra, who had a disciple named Mohan Goswami, who had a disciple named Ishwarananda Mishra, and he had a disciple named Paramananda Mishra. I can't see very well, don't know that. I've had a disciple named Sari Mohan Goswami, who had a disciple named Ramadev Mitra, who had a disciple named Nimai Chand Goswami, who had a disciple named Gorkashore Das Bhavadi Maharaj, who had a disciple named Srila Varshabhana Nityananda-tattva, who had a disciple named Abhay Charan Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, as we know him, and we had some other. So in our diksha line, this is our diksha line. Diksha means mantra diksha, through whom we have received our Gayatri mantra. Bhagavad line is another thing which is shown in the Bhagavad Gita, the end of the introduction. That's from whom we receive Bhagavad Shiksha. So our diksha line is coming from Lord Nityananda. Lord Nityananda and Janava Mata, their Madhurya Sarup is Ananga Manjari. And Virchandra Prabhu's Madhurya Sarup is Vilasani Kunja. And Gopal Mishras. Madhurya Swarup is Ranjana Manjari. Hanupriya Mishras. Madhurya Swarup. Manjari Swarup is Kailan Manjari. And Mohan Goswami Madhurya Swarup is Ratna Manjari. Ishwananda is Nayan Prabha Manjari. Paramananda Mishra is Ras Manjari. Gary Mohan Goswami is Palana Manjari. Namdev Mishra is Kamud Manjari. Nilai Goswami is Namini Manjari. Gokishore Das Babaji Maharaj is Vinod Manjari. And Srila Varsha Banavi Dai Kabha is Nayan Mani Manjari. And Srila Prabhupada is Nityananda-tattva. And because Srila Prabhupada didn't tell anyone, so we're going to keep it like that. So that's a little something about Nityananda-tattva.
That's greatly appreciated.
How it ties in and how we have anything to do with it. The fact of the matter is, why Lord Nityananda is more merciful than Lord Chaitanya? Because Balaram Manjari is more merciful than Radha. And because Balaram is more merciful than Krishna.
So,
Because they are the liaison. What hope do the jivas have? Another aspect of the thing is, in terms of rasa tattva, in terms of practicality also, is that this masculine sarup, external, if you want to call it a sarup, is not fit for the services of Srimati Radha and Krishna. So we pray to Lord Nityananda that just as Baladev required in Madhurya sarup to gain access for the services of Radha and Krishna, so similarly we also require, if we so desire, in order to gain access to Madhurya relationship with Radha and Krishna. We don't desire that, body count. But if someone, has has noticed within himself, it's a hope, an aspiration, an inclination in the heart that after all is said and done, after all my narcas are finished, after all, somehow or other, when I get there, I hope and pray that I can at least have a little service to the beautiful, shining feet custodians that should be that way. If someone has that hope in the heart, then you should understand that by the mercy of Lord Nityananda, Radha Krishna Chaitanya means without the mercy of Lord Nityananda, the service of Radha and Krishna is impossible to So the mercy of Lord Nityananda is also coming. Janavamata's mercy is also coming to us via media, Diksha. Nityananda is also included. It's mentioned, if you mention that Nityananda, Advaita, and Madhurya Puri are mentioned together in the Bhagavad. Why Nityananda is there is because Nityananda considered Madhurya Puri was actually his grandbrother by Diksha and Shri. But he was the older grandfather, Madhurya Puri, the disciple of Lakshmipati Tirtha. Also Nityananda is a disciple, younger disciple, a later disciple of Lakshmipati Tirtha. And but as for Nityananda, the younger, the junior, the Diksha sequence, then Madhurya Puri, so he regarded Madhurya Puri as Diksha. So therefore, sync Nityananda and Madhurya Puri and Advaita Charya action. And Nityananda and Advaita Charya. Advaita Charya was a direct disciple of Madhurya Puri. Ishwar Puri, excuse me. We'll see Nityananda, Ishwar Puri, and Advaita Charya in the same group together. Madhurya Puri is the disciple of Lakshmipati Charya. Nityananda is the disciple of Lakshmipati coming later. So as a younger god brother, he regards Madhurya Puri, Ishwar Puri, and although he's actually god uncle to Advaita even, by Diksha sequence, which sounds a little strange because Advaita is so much older. Yeah. Advaita may have received Diksha from Madhurya Puri before Nityananda We see a picture from Ishwar for you or something. I don't know how that's that because Nityananda was from Lakshmi Pajatism, because Nityananda was only 12 years older than Mahaprabhu, whereas Advaita was considerably 53 years older or something like that, considerably older. Well, somehow that is,
If you went there.
so by the mercy of Lord Nityananda, if we get the mercy here, actually it's mentioned in another way. In one place, Prabhupada says by the mercy of Georgi Kondit, one can get Nityānanda, and by the mercy of Lord Nityananda, one can gain entrance into the realm of Praja. And by the mercy of the realm of Praja, one can gain access to the deed of the six Goswamis. And by the mercy of the six Goswamis, one can get the real understanding of Radha Krishna, by which one can actually understand the full thing.
That was Kaviraj Goswami's example.
In
where Nityananda gave me a mercy for ordering to go to Vrindavan.
Jaya Jaya Nityananda
Then Kaviraj Goswami came to the teeth of the
Raghunath.
Also, we see the example of Raghunath Goswami
In the Chikarasi Hill with
approaching Lord Nityananda to get his mercy before he was able to attain the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya.